Dear friends, today we are going to discuss yet another beautiful religion. And again, would like to tell you that we are the students who want to know about the faith. And let's learn from it with love without judging. I am no authority on that. I am a sincere student who is trying to learn along with you. So now today we are going to talk about Bahai faith, one of the youngest, not one of the, it is the youngest religion on the planet. So this whole session will be divided in few parts. First, we'll talk about the origin of the faith. Then we'll discuss about the scriptures this faith has, 3 major principles and 12 other principles. 9 gates of temple we'll be discussing. We'll talk about the worship they follow, the festivals they have, the pilgrimages, and some of the teachings of the prophet from this faith. So let's begin with the origin. This journey will date back to journey of Islam. Remember Muhammad Sahab, the prophet. So when the prophet died, and then we find a beautiful new religion on the planet in the name of Islam. But when the prophet died, leadership of Muslim nations got divided. So who will lead after prophet? So initially the position, it was decided that the position will be taken by many of the prophet's companions only. And a new leader should be elected among the capable, from the capable ones. And this new leader will be called as Khalifa, Caliphate. So after prophet, the whole Islamic universe will be headed by a Khalifa. He will be considered as the head of the Islamic State worldwide. So there were 4 rightly guided Khalifas, one after another. From the fourth Khalifa, things changed. Who was the first Khalifa? Abu Bakr was the first Khalifa. He was Muhammad Sahab's close friend and advisor. He was the advisor and the close friend of the Prophet. So Prophet, then Khalifas. First Khalifa was Abu Bakr, and then second, and then third. But now the story changes with the 4th Khalifa. So 4th Khalifa, his name was Ali. He was Prophet's son-in-law. And since then, it was decided that the position should stay with the Prophet's own family members, among those specially appointed by him. So then there was a difference of opinion. Should the position be remain only with the family members of the Prophet, or anybody who is eligible should become Khalifa? And from here you will find there is a gap. 2 sects emerged. One is called Sunni, another is called Shia. Sunni means Sunni literally, it's an Arabic word that means followers of the Sunnat. Sunnat means teachings of the Prophet. So people who will follow the traditions and the teachings of the Prophet, they will be called as Sunni. And on another side, after the 4th Khalifa, another sect became Shia. It's an Arabic word that means supportive of Prophet. It is also called Ahl al-Bayat. It means people of household of Prophet, of his own family. So wherever the chief of this Islamic State will be from the family of the Prophet, then it will be called Shia. And otherwise, it is Sunni. So today there are, out of whole Muslim world, 85% of them are Sunni. So Sunni don't consider any place for any heredity, privilege in Islam. It doesn't matter whether you are from the family of Prophet or not. If you are eligible, you will be Khalifa. This is what they believed in. And Sunni developed that Sharia law, which we often hear of, Sharia law. Sunnis follow Hadith, and 85% of the world today is Sunni. 15% is Shia, who follow the family of the Prophet, like Iran, Iraq, Bahrain, Syria, Lebanon. These are Shia dominant areas. So Shia, they will visit to such people. One important point here is Prophet's descendants, here they won't be called as Khalifa, they will call them as Imam. So Shias follow Imam. So Imam, the first Imam was Ali, who was actually the fourth Khalifa. From there, the division started. So Ali became the first Imam, the son-in-law of Prophet. So all Shia people, they visit to the tombs of Imam. They consider that the Imams are sinless. They perform pilgrimage to their shrines. And Shias feel some animosity against Abu Bakr because he was not from the family of Prophet. And that's why Shias will reject Hadith. Because though Hadith was the whole lifetimes of Prophet, but Hadith was narrated by Abu Bakr. So they felt that Abu Bakr may not have done justice in narrating the life of the Prophet. So they love the Prophet, they follow the Prophet, but they don't like the first Khalifa and the Caliphate. So Shias are of two, then Shia also divided in two sects. One is called Ismailis and another is called Twivlers. So this is a general introduction before we begin. Now this is the background. Fine. Now let's begin where this Baha'i faith comes from. So it originates as an outspring of Shia. So now let's go to Shias. So Shias, as I told, follow Imam. So there were generations of Imam, one after another. 12th Imam was called Muhammad al-Mahdi. Now this story is very interesting. I loved this story when I read it. This 12th Imam was called al-Mahdi, and he was the last Imam. And what happened is, in 1874 AD, he suddenly gets disappeared. Nobody knows where the Imam is. Some people say it is spiritual hiding. But imagine, head of a religion suddenly disappears. You will not find such an incident, I guess, in any of the religions. Suddenly disappeared. Nobody knows where he was. And then when nobody knew where he was, then there were certain prophecies that you will start hearing that time. What was that? Al-Mahdi will return on the day of judgment. The end of the times he will return back. Return of a Messiah, Masiha. Remember Zoroastrianism, remember Christianity, the Masiha will return. So the Al-Mahdi, the 12th Imam, will return back on the day of judgment. And when that will be? After 1,000 years. So how does this come into existence, this whole theory, this whole principle that he will reappear? So we need to read a little bit background of it. Then we'll again come back to the same story. I'm going to tell you from where this prophecy came. So Quran, the original scripture of Islam, has two meanings. One meaning is called Zahir. Zahir means outer meaning that you will read whenever you read from the words. It is called Zahir. Another meaning of Quran is called Batin. Batin means the hidden meaning of Quran. The metaphorical meaning of Quran. It is also called Tawil. esoteric interpretation of Quran, what Quran actually is trying to say, or what these scriptures are actually trying to say. So it was believed during those days that when it says in some scriptures that God created heaven in 7 days, remember Bible, 7 days. So actually it is a metaphor. And what is the real meaning? That there will be 7 cycles of 1,000 years around each. That was a metaphor meaning. That was believed those times. So what does that mean? 7 cycles of 1,000 years? So they say the first cycle was when the cycle of Adam, Eve, the first human being. So the first cycle was the cycle of Adam, 4050 BC, they say. Fine. It's just what they believe in. I'm telling you this. Second cycle was the cycle of Nuh. And they say around 3000 BC. Nuh. He was again one of the prophets mentioned in Quran. Third cycle was the cycle of Abraham. Remember in Judaism, we discussed about him. 2000 BC around. This is what they believed. Fourth cycle will be cycle of Moses. 1400 BC. And to Moses, Torah descended. Fifth cycle will be the cycle of Jesus. 33 BC. When Jesus died. So, gospel or Bible descended on him in a way. Sixth cycle will be cycle of Prophet Muhammad. 610 AD. When Quran descended. And now the 7th cycle is due. 7 days of creation. So after 1,000 years around of Muhammad or the Prophet, a Messiah will return. So this is how it was believed. And now suddenly you see, after 1,000 years of gap in Iran, something is happening. Because the last Imam got disappeared in, I told you, in 874 AD. So after 1,000 years, means 1874, something should happen. Somebody should come. And if the prophecy is correct, then somebody should appear in Iran as the new prophet. So the Dweller sect of Shias, in 19th century Iran, which is a Shia dominant state, there is a movement that started called Sheikhism movement. And what this movement will do? Search for the new Imam, the new messenger. Because prophecy will not go wrong. Somewhere or other, like Jesus, he must have taken birth. Let's go and search for him. So after 1,000 years, interestingly, a movement is going on in Iran called Sheikhism movement to search Al-Mahdi. Where is he? Because he told he will, it was told that he will come again. This movement was led by Sheikh Ahmad al-Ashai. And after him, from his successor, he also led the movement, Sayyid Kazim Rushdie. So Sheikh Ahmad al-Ashai and then Sayyid Kazim Rushdie, under this Sheikhism movement, are searching for Al-Mahdi. Because the return of Al-Mahdi is soon. There was a lookout notice kind of for Al-Mahdi. Let's go and search, where is he? So this Sayyid Kazim Rushdie also dies in 1843. And then he appointed no successor for the moment. He said, no need. Now Imam will himself lead. He will come. Look at the power of faith. He will for sure come. Because he will come in 1874 around. So he dies in 1843. So he said, now no successor is needed for the movement. Imam will appear. So now something great happens. 22nd of May, 1844. one of the person of this Shaikhi movement called Mullah Hussain, he was also searching for Al-Mahdi, the hidden Imam who will reappear. He reached to a city called Shiraz, searching for Al-Mahdi. And there he met a holy person. He stayed at his place. The name of the holy person was Sayyid al-Muhammad al-Shirazi. Sayyid al-Muhammad al-Shirazi. And on that night, 22nd of May 1844, this al-Shirazi declared to Hussain, Mullah Hussain, that I am Al-Bab. I am Al-Bab. Al-Bab means I am the gate to the hidden Imam. So then Mullah Hussain got so much taken aback all of a sudden. So he started asking very deep questions from Al-Shirazi, who declared that I am Al-Bab. Al-Bab means gate to the hidden Imam. And he answered all the questions so flawlessly, so beautifully, that whatever he spoke that night, it appears in the form of book, Qayyum al-Asma. And then Mullah Hussain realized that yes, this Al-Shirazi is Al-Bab, the gate to the hidden Imam. Then he became a follower of Al-Bab. Now that Shaikhism movement is over, the purpose achieved. Now this new movement is called Babism. Babism movement. Why? Because the chief is Al-Bab. And who is Al-Bab? The gate to the Imam Al-Mahdi. Was he a gate? Then who was Al-Mahdi? Let's discover. So, majority of the Sikhists started following Babism now. All Sikhism got merged in Babism, including Mullah Hussain. And then Al-Bab started giving his sermons. And first sermon he gave to 18 disciples. It is very famous in that today as the letters of the living. Remember Jesus, the Sermon of the Mount? It is the same kind. Letters of the living. The first sermon he gave to 18 disciples. Then he sent his messengers to different parts of the world, declaring that I am that gate to that Al-Mahdi, the forgotten or the most searched for Imam, 12th Imam. Al-Shirazi himself visited Makkah to declare his message and self as the gate to 12th Imam. When Al-Shirazi started calling himself the Al-Bab, the gate to 12th Imam, then all the Shias of Iran, they didn't believe in him. How come all of a sudden a person will emerge and will say, I am the gate to him? So nobody believed. So all the Shia dominant Iran started persecution of Babism. And they called it blasphemy. It is wrong. You can't say this, that you are the gate to the Al-Mahdi. But as if it was not enough. 1848, exactly after a couple of years, 4 years, Bab said, I am not the gate. I am Imam himself. He said, I am Al-Mahdi. I am the 12th Imam who disappeared. But then, if he is Al-Mahdi, then as per prophecy, the end of days are coming. Because what was the prophecy? The Imam will return when there will be the day of judgment. When Qayamat will happen, everybody will die and everybody has to give his, explanation for his sins. So there were many questions then emerged. If he is Al-Mahdi, our end of the days are coming. Will the day of judgment near? So many things. Shias got mad on him. Then Shias put a trial on him, the same that happened with Jesus. And Bab was sent to jail for whatever claim he mentioned. In jail, he writes 2 books. First is called New Babi Law. Instead of Sharia, this became later the law which Baha'is started following in a way. Then he also wrote in jail New Bayan. Bayan means what you say, what you explain. New Bayan of Quran. His own interpretation of Quran he wrote. He said, no, that Quran, what you are understanding is wrong. He interpreted Quran in a very different perspective. And again, it was a blasphemy, all the more blasphemy. Writing on Quran and that to that strange interpretation. Let me tell you how strange. But you may like it also. So he says that what is day of judgment? In that Quran, he says, his explanation in Bayan. He said on day of judgment, world will not be actually destroyed. No destruction will come. Actually, day of judgment is the appearance of the new manifestation of God. Please pay attention. He does not use the word messenger of God. He said manifestation of God. Fine. And somehow it will connect more with the avatar system of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma don't say that Krishna is a messenger of God. He says he's the manifestation of God. God himself manifested in a different form. So the word he uses here is lots of blasphemy you may count. You can keep counting now. Fine. I'll keep explaining. Blasphemy as per the Orthodox Islam beliefs. So appearance of the new manifestation of prophet of or God, who would set a new world order again, who would set everything perfect. And this is what you call a day of judgment. World will not be destroyed. So when people were asking, you have appeared, so will the world be destroyed? He said, no, world won't destroy, but the manifestation of God will make world right again. This is what is the meaning of day of judgment. Shias didn't like it. Sunnis absolutely hated it probably. That moment. Then he also explained heaven and hell. He said heaven and hell are the state of mind. It's here. If you are happy, it's heaven. If you are sad, if you do wrong deeds, it's hell. It's here. So in a way, these were great things what he was saying. An amazing modern interpretation. And then he said, you know what? When on the day of judgment, it is said that the bodies will be resurrected. No, it won't happen. He said, is it possible? Bodies are decomposed. Then what will happen? What does that mean? He said, actually, it represents spiritual awakening of people. People will awaken from their ignorance. So that is what you call resurrection of the dead. Because people live like dead. So they will be spiritually resurrected again in the presence of the manifestation of God. So for him, prophet is not the messenger of God, but the manifestation of God. Fine. Another interesting thing. People asked him, so are you Al-Mahdi? He was so scientific. He said, how can I be? He lived 1,000 years back. I came 1,000 years later. I am not the same Al-Mahdi. But in essence, the Al-Mahdi has returned back. I am the manifestation of God, but not the same Al-Mahdi who lived in 9th century AD. So lots of things, it appears that he was very scientific in his approach. And But one more thing he will keep on saying. That was very interesting. It makes it very mysterious. Al-Bab will keep on saying this, that he will say that Al-Bab seems self as a precursor of something greater which is about to come. So in his talks, he will keep on giving an indication that somebody else is also about to come. Greater than himself, even, he said. And it appears like John the Baptist appeared before Jesus. So he will frequently use this word. He whom God shall made manifest. He whom God shall made manifest. So I'm quoting Al-Bab. Listen, for all that have been exalted in the bayan is but a ring upon my hands. Whatever is given in my bayan, it is just a ring on my hand. And I myself am verily but a ring upon the hand of him whom God shall make manifest. So the now question came, whom is he referring to? Nobody knows, only he knew it. Whom were he referring to? But as you could see, these were enough blasphemies. 9th July 1850, the order was passed in Iran to execute Bab, to kill him. So Bab and his one follower, fire was opened upon him. The age of Bab right now was only 30 years, at such young age. So 750 bullets was shot on him. And could you imagine, in the first round of the bullet, not a single bullet hit him. And still, in Bahai faith, it is considered as a miracle. And when the bullets were shot on him around 750, he said, which is very famous, and it may remind you of Jesus, he said, you don't know what you are doing, but once you will know, you will repent, and that day I will not be there. And finally, he was killed. And he was killed for what he thought is correct, and he spoke. So then he joins the array of the masters like Sukrat, who was killed, Jesus, Galileo, Guru Arjan Dev, Guru Tegh Bahadur, Gandhiji, Martin Luther King, and now Al-Bab. So he joins this array of masters. So after his death, but before his death, he appointed Mirza Yahya Nuri as the chief of the faith. Mirza Yahya Nuri. But because Shias were very upset with him, so they imprisoned Mirza Yahya Nuri also. The successor also was imprisoned. They thought that he was referring to him, that he always used to say, no, whom God shall manifest. So Mirza Yahya Nuri was imprisoned. But meanwhile, brother of Mirza Yahya Nuri, called Mirza Hussain Ali Nuri. This is the most important name in the whole Baha'i faith. Mirza Hussain Ali Nuri. He is the brother of Mirza Yahya Nuri, who was appointed as chief. So Mirza Hussain Ali Nuri declared himself as Baha'ullah. Baha means the glory. Allah means of God, the glory of the God. And then later, he became the chief of this movement because his brother was imprisoned. So Baha'ullah overpowered Mirza Yahya, who was given charge by Al-Bab. So now Baha'ullah became the chief. But then what happened is, the things were going very fast right now. Some of the Bab supporters, There was one Bab supporter in 1852, I am talking about. One of the Al-Bab supporters, he was mentally unstable. So he fired the air gun on Shah of Iran. Air gun. Who will get killed with air gun? So he shot air gun on the Shah of Iran, the king of Iran, the chief of Iran. Nothing happened. But this Sajid, who was the supporter of Bab movement, he was cut into pieces, and all of his 18 associates, Babis, were also killed. And Shah became so upset with it that even Baha'u'llah was imprisoned to identify that whether he promoted this thing to happen. So Baha'u'llah was imprisoned for 4 months. When he was, see, Al-Bab also was imprisoned. Now Baha'u'llah was also imprisoned. So when he was in prison, he got vision of the maid of heaven. And the maid of heaven told her that he is the best beloved of the world. Maid of heaven told him that his beauty, his mastery, and he has the treasure of the God. And that maid of heaven, just like Zibrail to the prophet. So the maid of heaven told him that he has the power of his sovereignty. Later on, after all this happened, he got released from jail because no accusation was proven against him. He was not involved in that fire against the Iran, the Shah of Iran. Fine. So then he was told that you leave Iran itself for peace, your peace and the peace of Iran itself. So Baha'u'llah went to Iraq and stayed there for 10 years. And there he wrote very famous books, which are the major scriptures of Baha'i faith today. One book is called 7 Valleys and 4 Valleys. Another is called Hidden Words. Another is called Kitab-e-Ikan. In Kitab-e-Ikan, he talks about how earlier prophets were denied by the people. So he mentioned so many things. So this happened. Now, on 21st of April, 1863, in the Garden of Rijwan, there is a garden called Garden of Rijwan. Baha'u'llah revealed to his disciples that he was the Al-Bab was talking about. Now, no more mysteries. This is the final one. Fine. So he declares now that I am the new manifestation of God, whom Al-Bab was referring, and Al-Bab was that Imam who was missing. So now world got the new manifestation of God. Suddenly, when his brother heard about it, Mirza Yahya, that what is happening? My brother declared himself as the new prophet. Then a conflict happened between the Babism and Baha'u'llah himself. Because Babism used to be followed by the followers of Bab, and Bab declares Mirza Yahya as the chief. So as a response to it, Baha'u'llah founded a new religion called Baha'i faith. So Baha'i faith is being founded by Baha'u'llah. Such a long journey. Can you imagine this? But the moment he founded the new religion, again, blasphemy. He and his whole family was imprisoned by the Ottoman Empire of Iraq. Even Iraq didn't like it. And he had to spend rest of his whole life in prison itself. Al-Bab also died like this. Same happened to Baha'u'llah. But now, because of his writings, because of his messages, all Babis started following this new prophet. So all that Sheikh movement became Babis, Babi movement now became Baha'is. So Baha'u'llah wrote Kitab-e-Aqdas, and Baha'u'llah also wrote many letters. Can you imagine this? From the prison, he used to write letters to Napoleon, Queen Victoria, Tsar Alexander II of Russia, Pope. And what he was writing in those letters? About his proclamation and asking them to join Baha'i faith for world peace. So he was in prison, but was writing to all the emperors of the world to join Baha'i faith for world peace. If you remember, the Prophet Muhammad also did the same. Baha'u'llah died 29th of May 1892 in Akka jail. His age was 74 years. After his death, his son Abdul Wahab became the new leader of the faith. He promoted faith to his best of his capacity. His son also died in 1921. Then his grandson, Shoghi Effendi, called Guardians of the Faith, became the guardian of faith. Shoghi Effendi. He also died in 1957. But after 1957, after the death of Shoghi Effendi, no human leader, no human will become the leader of the faith. So what he does is, he established something called Universal House of Justice. It will be the administrative unit of whole Baha'i faith across the world. It is called the National Spiritual Assembly of Baha'i faith. So it is the most premium authority on Baha'i faith in the world, Universal House of Justice. So you see, from Islam came Shia, from Shia came Bab, from Bab came Baha'i movement. So this is the whole story. Isn't it interesting? The moment you lose a bit of focus, you will get confused in this story. I know this. Fine. So now let's talk about the scriptures. I mentioned Kitab-e-Aqdas is the most sacred scripture of Baha'i faith. Kitab-e-Kan. Then gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah. Third book. Fourth is the prayers and meditation. Fifth book is the hidden words. Sixth book is 7 valleys and 4 valleys. These are the most sacred books of Baha'i faith across the globe. So now, once we have understood this, that how this faith came up and how it worked further, now the time has come to understand what are the major principles. Why he dare actually to write Napoleon, Queen of England, the Tsar of Russia, to join Baha'i faith for world peace. Even he was in prison and he was writing to those emperors to join. What was the principles? And how joining Baha'ism, world peace can be assured. Let's check it. And now I'm going to tell you, you will get surprised when you know about it. Fine. Look, it's that new faith. It's of 19th century only. Fine. Not more than 120, 30 years old, or 150 at the max in different perspectives. So there are 3 major principles and 9 other principles of this faith. First, I will talk about 3 major principles. Then we'll talk about all other 9 principles of this faith. First principle, unity of God. Second principle, unity of religion. Third principle, unity of humanity. Let's elaborate them a bit. The first principle is unity of God. Baha'ism believes in monotheism, one God. But interestingly, Baha'u'llah said, call that God by any name, it is permitted. Baha'u'llah even said, call that God by the name of Brahman, Yehovah, or call him Allah. So look at the open mindset he brings. He said, even if you want to call him Brahman, that's fine. You don't need to call him Allah only. Transcendental is that God. Unknowable is that God. The manifestation of God or the prophets help us to know God. So this is the first principle. Unity of God. Second is unity of religion. Now what he says is what this religion follows is very aggressive and very forward-looking. Fine. Unity of religion means there is only one religion in the world with different interpretations. And what are those interpretations? Then he says, or this religion says, progressive revelation. So they bring a concept called progressive revelations. What does that mean? That the religion is one, and after some time a prophet will appear and will reveal something. And all prophets are equally acceptable. But as if it is not enough, look at the open mindset. Let me tell you the list of the prophets Bahai faith believes. First, Abraham. We know about him in Judaism. Second, guess who? Lord Krishna. Isn't it? Third, Moses. Fourth, Zoroaster. Fifth, guess who? Lord Buddha. Sixth, Jesus. Seventh, Prophet Muhammad. Eighth, Al-Bab. Ninth, Baha'u'llah himself. They also said there are many native prophets whom we don't know. Look at the open mindset. So Baha'i faith even consider Krishna as a prophet, Buddha as a prophet. Acknowledge this. This is called unity of religion. Now comes this unity of humanity. And this view is also very new to the world. Baha'u'llah brought this view, unity of humanity. What does that mean? Humanity is constantly evolving. In every era, a manifestation of God comes to update the humanity with divine knowledge. And the last update, the software of religion is last updated by Baha'i faith, only 100 years back, 120 years back. So the most updated is Baha'i faith. Baha'u'llah was, it is said in the faith that Baha'u'llah was a divine physician who, after understanding the spiritual evolution, prescribed the appropriate treatment to the human evolution. So Baha'u'llah, when saw what is the condition of the world around, he understood the human concerns and then he prescribed the appropriate medicine or appropriate religion. So what is that religion? All people of the world are one tribe. We all are one tribe. Now what I'm going to tell you, I never read it ever in any religion. Yes, I read things like this, but not that specific. He said there should be one world government. There should be one government of the world. So that means one president of the world, complete world. Just imagine a world with one government, right? Whole earth should be called as one country. Probably you see that in the country itself, people don't fight much. At least battles doesn't happen. But in different countries, battles happens. So probably when the whole world will become one country, then battle will not happen. Then there will be a single president. Fine. And whole mankind should be its citizen. So I should be the citizen of earth. So I should get no visas, isn't it? Let's go ahead. So he said there should be one world government. Whole earth should be called as a country and the mankind should be its citizens. Why? What is the reason he gives? Why it should happen? He said, because It is beyond the capacity of individual government to deal with the problems that threaten whole earth. Like global warming, a country alone cannot fight. Like pollution, like he also mentions, like controlling multinational companies. Those multinational companies whose headquarters is in US, operating in India, Indian government cannot control it well. But the whole world is even one government, even multinational can be controlled well. Can you imagine this? So he said there should be a new world order. And this nation should be called as, what should be the name? World nation. The world nation. So the divine exists in all of us, he mentioned. Earth is a place of spiritual evolution where souls come, get matured. This is how we come. This is the purpose. We have come here to get matured. And now, very important thing, revolutionary. Salvation is the final oneness with the God. This Islamic religion will never take. You can't be one with Allah. Duality will be there, but he said, one advaita. The salvation or the mukti is being one with the God. And whole life is a process of it. And he says that the process of that oneness, the journey of evolution, it starts before your birth and continues after your death. One God can judge. Only God can judge where do we stand in the process of our evolution. Religion is an essential path to establish new world nation. Religion is must. But then he says something very revolutionary. But religion has to have harmony with the science. He never says this, that if what religion is saying, science is opposing it, then reject the science. He said no. Religion has to be in harmony with science. It should be logically correct. What I'm quoting, Baha'u'llah. Religion, it's very powerful. Religion without science is a superstition. And science without religion is materialism. It's so profound. It's so profound. Science without religion is just materialism. So religion and science has to come together. So what are the other 9 principles? Fourth principle, equality of man and woman. Any ways they are equal. No ways you can count that women are less. In no ways. Fifth, elimination of all forms of prejudice. Sexual, racial, class prejudice, everything to be eliminated. Every being has to be equal in letter and in spirit. Sixth means fourth, fifth, sixth principle, elimination of extremes of wealth and poverty. Extreme of wealth has to be avoided and extreme poverty should also be avoided. Seventh, independent investigation of truth. You don't need any medium to connect to your God. It's a direct connect. Independent investigation of the truth you do. No medium is needed between you and God. And there should be a universal education. Can you imagine it? One syllabus across the globe. Universal education. And what should be the primary focus of that education? Humanity. First 3 principles. Equality, fraternity, universal education should be the primary focus. 9th, harmony of science and religion should be there. 10th, there should be, as we discussed, one world commonwealth of nations should be established. 11th, universal auxiliary languages should be there. And then there should be extreme religious tolerance. He doesn't say that eliminate all the religions. All religions should be tolerated together. And that's why you see, he said that all prophets are welcome, even Krishna. So this is how it is. Isn't it amazing? So who is a Baha'i then? If the faith is so open, two things you need to do. One, who followed the above 12 principles? I think that's fine. Second, who follows the teachings of Baha'u'llah? Fine. And teachings I told. Pay attention. There is no need of a particular initiation or baptism to join Baha'i faith. No. Nor a person is given a new name once you join another faith. At times when you change your religion, a name gets changed. No change. Even in some cases, you can continue with your present religion and join Bahaism. That's also is fine. You don't need to leave one religion to join another. Can you imagine the level of openness this religion brings? Wonderful openness. And that's why when you go to their temples, the temple has got 9 gates in it. So the temples of Baha'i faith, like Lotus Temple, temples of Baha'i faith, Lotus Temple, Delhi, they have 9 gates in it. And that's why the symbol of Baha'i faith is a star with 9 edges. 9 edges star. I'll show you. Fine. So what those 9 gates represent and what is written in those 9 gates, let me tell you. So gates of the temple, every temple on the gate, something is written. First gate writes, whole earth is a country and all human are its citizens. This is one gate. Second, justice is the best virtue. If you love me, be away from injustice. If you do injustice, you don't love me. Love me means God or Baha'u'llah himself or the messenger manifestation. Third, love is my fort. Whosoever enters in it remains safe. Fourth gate. Till you have sins in yourself, don't even think about sins of others. It's very powerful. Till you have sins in yourself, don't even think about others. Focus on self. Fifth, your heart is my home. Keep it pure so that I can live in it. Sixth, I have made death a message of happiness. Then why do you feel sad? Because it's a continuous journey. Seventh, remember me on earth so that I can remember you in heaven. Eighth, O rich people on earth, the poor around you are my heritage. Take care of them. And ninth gate says, spiritual knowledge is the source of all knowledge. Fine. So this is what is the general messages of 9 gates of the temple. Now, as I told you that their symbol has got a star with 9 edges in it. It's a 9-pointed star. I'll show you that star also. So why 9-pointed? Because 9 is the highest single digit number. Oneness number, single digit number is 9. It symbolizes complement and fulfillment of expectations of all prior religions. So Baha'i faith has 9 edges in its symbol because every edge represents the faith or the religion that was before. Like first edge represents Vedic religion. Second, Sikhism, Vedic religion that focuses on the Rit and Sat. Sikhism on brotherhood. Third, Buddhism on compassion. Fourth, Islam on peace. Fifth, Judaism on good conduct. Seventh, Jainism on non-violence. Eighth, seventh, Christianity for love. Eighth, Zoroastrianism for purity. Ninth, Taoism for nature. So all the faiths, 9 faiths, major faiths that were before, are represented by that 9 ages of the Baha'i faith symbol. Regarding the festivals, there are few major festivals, obviously, which are very obvious. First is 20th of October, because 20th of October 1819, Bab was born. 9th of July 1850, Bab was martyred. Again, it's a day of importance for them. Significant days. 23rd of May 1844, Bab declared himself as Al-Makhti. Then 12th November 1817, Baha'u'llah's birthday is celebrated. 21st of April 1863, 21st of April every year, Baha'u'llah's declaration of himself as the manifestation of God is celebrated. 29th of May 1892, 29th of May is observed because Baha'u'llah died on this day. 21st of March, they celebrate Navroz. This day, Bab declared it as a new year for Baha'i faith in 1844. So these are the important days that they observe. Regarding pilgrimage, it is understood. The major areas of pilgrimage are what? Bab's tomb in Haifa, which is in Israel. So they visit Bab's tomb in Israel. Second, Baha'u'llah's tomb in Akka, again in Israel. So Israel is a very important place for Baha'is also. Then World Center for Baha'i Faith is in Haifa, again in Israel. Universal House of Justice, that was finally made, again in Haifa. Then people go for Garden of Rizwan, which was considered as the favorite place of Baha'u'llah, where he declared himself as the messenger or the manifestation of the God. So then we'll go for a couple of good teachings, though everything what we discuss is a teaching only, but still a couple of teachings. In this faith, when we talk about worship, how do they worship? Priest and religious leaders are forbidden. Can you see this? Direct connect. No priest is needed, no religious leader is needed. Direct connect. It is up to the individual to discover the truth by reading the scriptures and reflecting on the events of his own life. Read the scripture and reflect, read and reflect, read and reflect. And Baha'i faith has almost no rituals or public ceremony. No. It is not needed that you need to go to a particular place only for worship. No rituals are needed. Let me quote a few beautiful things of Baha'u'llah as his teachings to all of us. Baha'u'llah said, a thankful person is thankful under all circumstances. And a complaining soul complains even in paradise. So let's ask ourselves, are we a thankful person or a complaining soul? Next, Baha'u'llah says, let your vision be world embracing rather than confining to your own self. Whatever you do, have big vision in life. Then Baha'u'llah says, the earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. One another quote, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illumine the whole earth. So these are a couple of good teachings and the messages from Baha'u'llah. Now I'm going to share my screen to tell you about certain symbols. There is another symbol in Baha'is faith is called the ringtone symbol. So first I'll explain, then I'll show you. Ringtone symbol, they wear in the ring. Remember, Bab said, I am but a ring in the hand of whom God shall manifest. Fine. So that is called ring symbol also. Ring symbol is ringtone symbol, it is said. So ringtone symbol has got three horizontal lines and one vertical line. First horizontal line indicates the world of God, the creator. Second horizontal line indicates the world of his manifestations. It means God's manifestations. Who were those? Adam, Abraham, Muhammad, Zoroaster, Krishna, Buddha. So the second line represents all of them. And the third line represents the world of the man, our world. We, manifestation, and the God himself. So complete hierarchy. And then the horizontal line that connects all is the line of the divine messenger of God. And that messenger forms the link between all three realms. So they are the link between the world of the God, world of the messengers, and the world of the man. And you'll find two stars at both of the ends of this symbol. One star represents Bab, another represents Baha'u'llah. So let me show you. Now, because I said it, so you may now see it, what you imagined and what it is. Fine. So let me show you first one. The first one is this symbol. It is called Ya Baha'ul Abha. It means glory be thy name. Or you may call it Allahu Akbar, the God is great. This is that symbol. Second is this ringtone symbol. Could you see three horizontal lines? It appears like Tripunda. And then one vertical line. That is the line of messenger which connects all. And one star at left is Bab. On the right of this ringtone symbol is Baha'u'llah. And see this 9-pointed star? I explained it before. That's why the temples have 9 gates many places. And this last is called Haikal. Haikal means temple. It also means the body. Does it remind you of something like in Sanatan Dharma, they say that the body is the temple of God. And if you focus on this symbol, this star symbol, 5-star, could you see that there is something at the top of the star? It's not exactly star, but at the top point of the star, there's something made. And if you focus it, it appears like a face of a person. See? So this star is actually a human being. 2 hands, 2 legs, 1 head. Could you see it as a human being? So what Bab, this is being made by Bab. When Bab was in prison, he used to write his messages in the form of star, because these messages is for every human being. So this is, he used to write it and used to create a message out of his writing. So this is also one of the sacred message, sacred symbol of Baha'i faith. So these are the symbols of Baha'i faith. So we learned this. Now let's have a quick recap that what we learned in Baha'i faith. We learned about Baha'i faith, that how it got originated. We understood it that from Khalifa, then it became Imam for Shias, Khalifa for Sunnis. The 4th Khalifa or the first Imam was Ali. Shia means people from the family of the Prophet. Only 15% of the world is Shias. 85% are Sunni. And Shias do not follow Hadith. And this 15% are there in Iran, Iraq, Bahrain, Syria, and Lebanon. In Shias, we understood that the 12th Imam was Al-Makhfi. And suddenly he got in spiritual hiding. Nobody knows how he suddenly disappeared. But there was a prophecy that after 1,000 years, he will reappear. And then there will be the day of judgment. And the Masiha will reappear, the Messiah. Because 7 days of creation is actually 7 cycles of 1,000 years. And this is because the Quran has two meanings, Zahir meaning or Batin meaning. So the hidden meaning or the Batin meaning of Quran called Tawil mentions this. So then after 1,000 years, there was a Sheikhism movement in Iran who was led by Allah Shah and his successor Sayyid Kazim Rushdie. They were searching for the new return of Al-Mahdi, and they died without putting a successor for this movement. And Mullah Hussain met Sayyid Al-Muhammad Al-Shirazi, who called himself Al-Bab, the gate of the hidden Imam. And then he created Qayyum al-Asma, whatever that night they exchanged, and that led to Babism movement. Babism movement, then he wrote letters to all the people across the world to follow this movement. And then he himself went to Makkah, and then one fine day, Bab declared that I am myself Al-Mahdi. I have come back. And then he created new Babi law. He created new Bayan of Quran, where he defines Quran in a very different and new perspective, that day of judgment. Actually, the world will not be destroyed. The new prophet will set everything right. That is called day of judgment. Heaven and hell are the state of mind, and bodies will not actually restructured. It will be spiritual awakening, and we are the men. There are manifestations of the prophet. I am not the same Al-Mahdi, but new one, but the best one is about to come. So Bab continued declaring it. And then Babar, persecuted by 750 bullets, he was killed. And just like Jesus, he said, you don't know what you're doing. Once you will know, you will repent, but I won't be there that time. And he declared before death Mirza Yahya Nuri as the chief of the faith. But Mirza Yahya Nuri himself was imprisoned, and his brother Mirza Hussain Ali Nuri or Baha'ullah became the chief of the faith. And Baha'ullah was also imprisoned because somebody shot air gun, and Shah of Iran was upset about it. And then in that prison, he got the vision of the maid of heaven. And from there, his new journey begins. He wrote books, 7 Valleys and 4 Valleys, Written Words, Kitab-e-Khan, and lots of beautiful books and literature, scriptures he generated. And in 1863, 21st of April, in the Garden of Rijwan, he declared, I am that new manifestation of God. And then he founded Bahai sect. And then he founded the sect. He was again imprisoned. But in prison itself, he wrote a book called Kitab-e-Iqdas, and many new things he did. He wrote letters to all the great emperors across the world, being in the prison, saying that follow the Baha'i faith. He died in the prison of Akka. Then after him, his son Abdul Bahav became the leader. Then after him, his son Shogi Effendi became the leader. And today, Universal House of Justice is the leader. Major scriptures are Kitab-e-Iqdas, Kitab-e-Khan, gleanings of the writings of Baha'u'llah, prayers and meditation, hidden words, 7 Valleys and 4th Valleys are the major books. And then 3 major principles are unity of God, unity of religion, and unity of humanity. We have understood it in detail. Other religions are equality of man and woman, elimination of all forms of injustice and prejudice, elimination of extremes of wealth and poverty, independent investigation of the truth, universal education with focus on moral values, harmony of science and religion, world commonwealth of nations, universal auxiliary languages, and religion tolerance. Science without religion without science is superstition, and science without religion is materialism. Anybody can become Baha'i just following these principles, following Baha'u'llah. Still, you can keep your own religion, and your name will also not be changed, even if you follow this. So, and then there are 9 gates of the temple. Baha'i temple represents all 9 major religions came before Baha'i religion. And it considered all the prophets who walked, even considered prophets of Sanatan Dharma. and we understood what are their festivals. We discussed about their pilgrimage places. We discussed about their symbols, that 9-pointed star, that 5-pointed star, that ringtone symbol, and saying this God is great. And we understood it, the beautiful teachings of Baha'u'llah. And let's be thankful that we are born on a planet where so many messengers came and we got learning through Shri Shri University and United Consciousness about what they said. And I will conclude with the quotation by Baha'u'llah: a thankful person is thankful under all circumstances, and a complaining soul complains even in paradise. So let's be thankful souls. Thank you very much.